Welcome to the Bucket Chicken 50 sub special. To celebrate this occasion, I decided to review one of my personal favorite games, Ark Survival Evolved. I know what you're thinking. Ark? That game's like bad. And to that I say, no. Anyways, without further ado, enjoy the video. Ark, a game where the main focus is apparently dying. A lot. I love this game for a plethora of reasons, and I hope to cover them all in this video. Let's start out basic with the gameplay. Ark is a classic survival game, but with dinosaurs. You have many different bars you have to manage at all times. Thirst, hunger, health, stamina, and weight are the most important ones. Most of these are pretty self-explanatory. You need to eat, drink, not die, rest, basic stuff. Weight is a little different. In this game, your character can only carry so many items in their inventory, indicated by this little icon here. If this fills up, the game will tell you that you're encumbered and can't move. So you could imagine this can get very annoying, but is there any way to deal with it? Yes, in fact there is. In Ark, when doing something as extreme as killing a T-Rex all the way up to something as mundane as punching a tree, you gain XP. When you gain enough XP, you level up, giving you a skill point. This can be allotted to pretty much any of your stats, but the early game bests are usually weight and stamina, and later the points can be distributed more evenly. When leveling up, you also get a certain amount of Engram points. Engrams are the single most important aspect of Ark. They're somewhat a currency, used to buy blueprints. It's essential that you use these well, as you don't actually end up with enough points to unlock every engram. Certain items are much more necessary than others, and some cause hard decisions. This amount of player choice usually means that you need much more skill than normally required in a crafting system. More experienced players know what is and isn't necessary to learn. In the beginning of the video, I mentioned that there were dinosaurs in Ark. It's pretty much the whole gimmick of the game, although some are less dino and more fictional creature. Dinos are essential to your survival in Ark, especially when trying to beat the game. They can quite literally help you with anything: fighting, T-Rex or Raptor, transport, the birds or Brachiosaurus, resource gathering, pretty much any dino can help with that. Certain creatures are better at harvesting one thing but can't harvest another. This pretty much forces the players to get dinosaurs and create a giant unstoppable army. Not only are they useful, but they are pretty much required to beat the game. When exploring the map, the most mysterious thing you may see are these towers called obelisks. There are 3 around the island. Each obelisk has a specific purpose that is discovered later in the game. To unlock these isn't so simple, however. Around the map are various caves, and in these caves are artifacts. These act as keys to open the obelisks. When you're ready to enter, bring as many dinos as you think you'll need, and prepare to fight the boss. There's a different boss for each of the different obelisks: a dragon, a spider, and a monkey, to name all 3. Upon defeating these, you have to make your way to the entrance of the tech cave, inside the volcano. Go in and hop aboard the space station. This is where the vast majority of Ark's story is revealed, and I'll talk about that later soon. But once you get through the main ship, it's time to prepare for the final boss, the Overseer. The Overseer is tough, but with a little help from some useful resources, we can get some footage of the fight. The main challenge here is the pure amount of things going on. The Overseer has the ability to spawn crawlers and drones, as well as shoot lasers. There are 3 different unique phases in which the Overseer transforms into one of the 3 bosses. This boss fight is very fun when you have a giant army of T-Rexes, or I guess just in general, but the drones can be extremely annoying. Once you beat the boss, the game is over. You beat Ark! And no, I'm not gonna let you see the final cutscene. Play the game for yourself. Anyway, I passed over quite a few details there, mostly lore related. Before I cover the lore though, I should probably talk about the inevitable shortcomings of Ark. While Ark is extremely fun and one of my favorite games, it's simply impossible to ignore its flaws. The graphics are dated and hard to run. I couldn't record the game without turning down the settings. This game is terribly optimized. Loading into the world looks like a PowerPoint presentation. And finally, the biggest flaw of Ark's design, you have to grind. And grind. And grind and grind and grind and grind, and you get the idea. The reason I mentioned needing to spawn things in for the boss fight is because it just takes an obscene amount of time to do anything in this game. But that isn't enough to make the game bad in my eyes. But still, don't even get me started on the multiplayer. Anyway, I think now it's time to talk about lore. The lore of Ark is maybe the single most reason I love the game so much. I'll only be covering the lore of the island and some of Scorched Earth, but other than that I won't be explaining the DLC. If you want some more in-depth Ark lore videos, check out Ninja Killer's video in the top right. The video will also be in the description. Anyway, while Ark may at first seem like a simple survival game about primitive technology, you'll come to find that there's something more going on. Around the map, you'll find lore pages with logs of different people that came to the island before you. The most important of these people are Helena Walker and Edmund Rockwell. Walker is the Australian woman on most of the cover art of this game. When she gets to the island, she decides to research what's so off about it. The climates are wrong, and there shouldn't be a possibility of these vastly different biomes sitting right next to each other. Rockwell is a man who starts out neutral but slowly becomes the main antagonist of the Ark universe. When he first arrives on the island, he is more concerned with researching plant life rather than surviving. He's the one who writes recipes you find around the map. After these survivors have ascended, I'll explain this in a bit, you come along. You progress through the game and eventually get to the Overseer of the island. Every island has an Overseer to keep it running. Once said Overseer is killed, the entire Ark is shut down and the survivor is transported to a new suitable Ark. This is called Ascension. The next Ark you go to is called Scorched Earth, a dry wasteland that completely requires new thinking to survive in. If you want a full explanation of the rest of the lore, watch the video I recommended earlier.